So, before you can actually start writing C programs, you need what we call a compiler. The compiler will take the C code that you write and will convert it into machine code, which the computer knows how to execute. The computer doesn't natively understand how to run a C program, so you need the compiler, kind of like an in-between step. If you are using Linux, its chances are pretty high that you already have a compiler for C on your system. Ubuntu comes with it. I think a lot of the different versions come with it. If you're using Linux and you want to find out whether you have it or not, open up your terminal. I'm using the command prompt, but command prompt terminal, same difference. And open your terminal and type GCC and hit enter. I'm using Windows, so I don't have this built in, but you probably do. And what you want is to see after you hit enter, after you type GCC, you want to see something that says GCC fatal error, no input files, something like that. If you see that command, it means you're good to go. If you see something more like what I'm seeing here, like GCC command not found, something along those lines, then you don't have it. And I really can't help you get it installed there because I don't know what version of Linux you're using, and it's different on every version. So in that case, you'll want to do a Google search. For example, how to install GCC on Fedora, if you're using Fedora. So this tutorial is only for Windows users. If you're using Linux, just skip this and keep going. I'm going to be using the MingW compiler suite. That's pretty easy to use, pretty easy to install. So just search for what I search for. And we're going to be going down to the SourceForge one because that's going to be the easiest way to get to it. And we're going to browse all files. And we're going to be going to the installer folder. You don't have to use the installer, but it's definitely easier. And we want the second one, or the first file on the list, MingW get setup.exe. It has a graphical user interface that will let us easily configure our installation. And it's a pretty small file. We're going to run this and click install. I wouldn't change any of this. I would leave it exactly the way it is. There's no reason to change it, and it's definitely easiest and will work best if you do it this way. And this could take a while. If it takes too long, I will just pause the video, pause the tutorial, and skip this. But it shouldn't take that long. It really depends on your internet speed. Alright, so we're good. Now, we have to select which one we want to install, and we want a basic MingW installation. So we're going to right-click it and mark for installation. And now we're going to go to Installation and Apply Changes. This will install what we selected. And we only need a basic MingW installation. That's about it. And Apply. And this could take some time. Again, if it takes too long, I'll just pause the tutorial and start it when it finishes. I have like ridiculously fast internet speed here, so if it takes forever for you guys, don't worry. So it took about a minute after I paused it to finish, and this is what is displayed when it is done. All changes were applied successfully. You may now close this dialog. Alrighty, so MingW should be installed on your computer. And we can test this, but first we have to add the GCC program to the system path. And that simply means that you put the folder for GCC that contain the MingW folder that contains all of the executables into a place where your computer knows where to find them, so that you can open a command prompt from any location and type the commands, and it will know where to find the GCC file that will compile your C code. And this just makes programming so much easier. And I'm using Windows 7, and the steps are, as far as I know, they're the same for Windows 7 and Vista. It might be a little bit different for XP, but if you are a programmer, I can see why you'd want to use XP, but the steps are pretty much the same. If they're not the same, just do a Google search how to add a location to the path in Windows XP. So right-click, Properties, Advanced System Settings, Environment Variables, and you probably will have something down here called Path, and edit that path. Go to the very end, make sure that you put a semicolon after the last one if it's not already there. If it's already there, don't put another one, and enter C:\MingW, which is where you installed MingW. If you installed it somewhere differently, such as in program files, make sure you update this and don't put MingW if you did install it differently. And \bin. That's where the GCC executable file and all the other files that it needs are located. So we should be good. And to test this, I'm going to close out all of this, and I'm going to open a command prompt. I don't know why the font in this command prompt is so big. I messed up, but GCC fatal error, no input files. That means that GCC is working correctly, and the only reason it died there is because I didn't give it a file to compile. And now, if you got this message, your computer is ready to run C programs. And that's it for now. I look forward to seeing you in the next tutorial.